Welcome to Glitches to Gold, a weekly podcast birthed from my obsession with living a successful life. It began with chasing an Olympic dream and resulted in a 30-year obsession explored through sport, neuroscience, psychology, energetics, quantum mechanics, religion, art, and beauty. Sometimes chasing and achieving external markers, and at others experiencing the absolute opposite. Yet both taught me the same undeniable truth, and I'm here to share what I have discovered in the journey of mastering the alchemy of life, turning glitches to gold and success into overflow. If you like the podcast, share the love, like, rate, and subscribe on your favourite platform. Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Glitches to Gold, and I am your host, Jo Warwick. Ever found yourself suddenly going, why am I doing this? I find myself every morning just going to have a cup of coffee. Now, you could say, oh, okay, well, maybe you like coffee in the morning. But actually, when I stopped and thought about it, I was like, well, do I actually like coffee? I was realizing it was giving me heartburn every single day. Now, you could say, oh, you're just addicted. It wasn't that. Actually, in fact, it wasn't even the coffee itself. It's the fact that I have soya cream, and it was the cream. Now, I don't drink milk, and I remember when I gave up milk, I think we're talking, 7 years ago now, 7 years ago. I was actually allergic to breast milk as a kid. And when I gave up dairy 7 years ago doing Wild Fit, if you've ever been through that with Eric Mendes through Mind Valley, and I remember literally sitting on the sofa sobbing. The day that they asked us to give up dairy, they were preparing for it for that week. And I was sobbing because I realized I was still attached to satisfying this thing of being breastfed. And for me, the dairy was representing what was missing when I needed comfort, love, and affection, etc. And I was just having it as a comfort thing. So when I had moved back into having the coffee, I found myself having coffee, and it was actually the soya cream that I wanted. Anyway, I did some tapping around it, I did some work around it, and actually it was liberating. And I was laughing because of this thing where we have these habits that we don't know why we're doing them. And this is what comes up so much around money, around your business, around your life, around relationships, anything that you say you want and then it's not moving and changing, what I call stagnant energy. It's often because we're playing out a habit we don't realize that we're still doing. And I actually did a video about this on my Instagram, if you want to check out my Instagram at the Jo Warwick. I did a video there about this kind of like, oh my God, this is insane. You know, those feelings when you talk about being insane. Now, the reason I want to talk about it today is I want to introduce you to a human design concept. So this week we started Braver. And the first thing that I did in the training this week was around introducing the journey of energy through your being as you're manifesting. So we create from the inside out and we get mirrored back. That's how the world works. That's how the universe works. We create from the inside out. Everything in our humanity, everything in our society, our world that we've created within someone's mind, their energy, etc. And it came from the inside out. And then we co-created with the universe. And so I wanted to put a spin on it and in a different way to understand how we can have this amazing energy and why things aren't manifesting. And the biggest subject that's coming up for the women inside of Braver is money, because it always is the most stickiest subject for women. What was it that made it such a big difference for these women inside of Braver is this understanding that comes from human design, the labeling of the not self and the self. And for me, this, I think, is the simplest way of freeing you up from something you might have been taught is shadow work, or the ego being bad and wrong, and it's so wrong, and you've got to fight with all these things to get rid of them, like the shadow work. Oh, it's so terrible. Or even limiting blocks. There's nothing wrong with these things, but they are all on a lower frequency. And the higher the frequency, the simpler it is to explain. And when you can see it on its highest frequency, you can suddenly make it so much easier. And by understanding the self and the not self, you get to truly love yourself. The energy that is the self within you, that is your creative force, the way that you're made perfectly. And of course, in human design, we really talk about the fact you're designed perfectly for your success already. And your only job in this life is to take the power away from your not self and love your whole self and use it correctly. And I introduced them to a wonderful concept of how to shift understanding your ego into something that is actually working for you, like ChatGPT, an AI that actually already exists inside of your mind, your brain. But when she's not used correctly, he or she, will call your ego the she at this moment, if you're female, or he if it's male. But this part of you that when it's working correctly is like AI. And when it's not, it becomes like a really bad busybody up in your business, shit stirrer, causing the problems. But that's not because it's bad. And that's what I really want to challenge in this, is understanding if you see things as the not self and versus the self, we can really split open those ideas of loving yourself, liking yourself. You're not trying to be something else. It really does exist. And you've spent a lifetime getting to know yourself. You really do know yourself. The thing that's in the way is the not self, and it's understanding and accepting and loving and utilizing and converting the energy inside of your not self that liberates you to that next level of finances, of success, of business, etc. So it's not like you're fighting to become. It's not like you have to work really, really hard. There are two routes to figuring out this stuff. There is the short route of learning from other people, looking at the faster route. How can I get there? They've got experience. And there is a much, much longer route, trying to figure it out yourself. And some of it you do have to do yourself. Of course you do, because it is personal work. It is loving yourself. It's knowing who you are. It's healing. That can't be done by someone else. There is a journey of spiritual, personal development that has to happen in your lifetime. However, I took the really, really, really long route to learn all of this stuff because I'm here to teach it. I'm a 4/6 projector. That meant I had to learn all of it so that I could teach you now the quicker route, the simplest route. And my entire life is about trying to find simple ways, easy ways to understand some things that have been made really, really complicated and don't need to be. And the more that you elevate and open your mind to the simplicity of it, like Winnie the Pooh, I always think, is that you elevate faster and you can accept and forgive and release. And it really is about the choice then of, do I want to give energy to my not self, or, and I say not, N-O-T, not self, or do I want to lean in and give all my energy and my time and belief and supporting myself, supporting my self, my true self. And we could put in brackets next to yourself: soul, divinity, love, the little g to the big G, the part of you that the universe, the particles within you. But it is that part of you, the real you. And your design in your system of your energetic flow is connected to that, and how we want to support where the power is starting from and where the power is going to, because we all want the full manifestation. That's what this is about. Of course it is. We want the results, we want the outcome. There's nothing wrong with that. And that is a good part of our ego that's saying, but we want these things. We're here, we have these desires, and we want to see them come to fruition. That is not wrong or bad. That is the full creation experience. Yeah, that you get to live your desires and your dreams. You're not here to feel bad or sinful for any of that. The ego is not bad or wrong. However, when used incorrectly or not being entertained correctly, and she's been bored and she's been creating a fucking nightmare because she's a busybody and shit stirring and trying to protect you, and she's got all these messages that she got given growing up that you have to be a good girl or a good boy or do this or do that, it then becomes a bit of a mess. But when we can accept our not self for the job it's supposed to do, we bring it back to being a mechanical thing, like an AI that is, it has a life force, but it's mechanical and it needs a job and it's bored. In the last episode, I talked about you're not stuck, you're bored. And this is part of it. You've got to utilize all parts of yourself. And when they work together, you create success. You create success. And those parts of yourself is the mind, it is the ego, it is your soul and source, what we call self, it is your energy force, it is your body. Your body is a big part of bringing your manifestations to fruition, because if the energy can't flow through your body and it's getting to points where it's not listening to the self but it's listening to the not self, then we get this conflict, and therefore you don't get the full manifestation of what you want. And so our job is to learn to love. And this is what we've been doing inside of Braver this week. The first week of this 30-day challenge is that we're introducing the self and the not self, seeing it on its journey. What is it doing? We've done half of the journey in from the inside to the outside to the body so far. We've got another half to go. We're getting to know when it is you're in your not self. And the not self is the stuff that feels like shit. Even in a subtle way. I have a programming from growing up that says you can have sweeties after you have your main meal. You can have a pudding, a reward after you've had your main meal. And I associated that sweet stuff with love and affection and care. And so that programming is still there. Like even today, even though I've done tapping about it and done stuff, I don't actually have any desire for sweets at all. I have no desire for a coffee or anything like that. And yet, because I've removed something, there is a part of me, a debris part in my not self, that still wanted to say, oh, but you need something sweet. You've got to have pudding. I've just had lunch. I've got a full belly. I've had a delicious lunch. It was very healthy, not because of choice, but because it was just, that's what I was wanting. And it was lovely and delicious. And I was filled. So I did some tapping again about it to say that even though my stomach feels full and I feel sated and my mouth feels full and sated and I feel like I've had something really delicious, I recognize there's a part of me that's screaming to say, you got to have something sweet. You got to have something sweet. And I'm like, I honor that. I honor this not self part of me. That's an old program that's dying. I want to take the energy back from that. So I have to honor it first. I have to see it. I have to acknowledge it. And this isn't shadows. This is like just old computer programmings running around my brain and my body. And although the main part of it is being removed, this is like little debris and so I'm just like, and I honor that and I see that and I accept that, but it has nothing to do with love or affection or I'm having what I want. I've had the food that I want and I'm also loved and I love myself. I love myself. Okay, myself. And once you understand that the self is what you're actually talking about, I love myself. I'm not here to fall in love with my not self. I'm here to reclaim the energy. I'm here to thank it. I'm here to forgive it. I'm here to feel compassion for it. But I'm not here to fall in love with my not self. My not self is a whole load of conditioned, domesticated crap that was here to help me survive and actually is totally hindering. Yeah. And that's the same for you. You're not here to fall in love with the part of you that says, oh, I'm not good enough and I can't do that and you'll never be enough and you can't have this. And I can be sure that this week we are in eclipse season has kicked off tonight when you're listening to this. And the eclipse has an intensity that is like, as a surfer, I would call it a rip in the sea. It's like an escalator. It intensifies what's going on to bring the shit to the surface. And we are in the last countdown before the fire horse is landing, of course. And so things are being brought to the surface, this last clearing. And so you're going to hear these voices that say, you can't do it. You're never going to be good enough. Oh, why are you doing? Why are you bothering? Eat that shit stuff. Have that sugar. All the stuff that you don't want. Yeah, is your not self because they're bored and they're not being worked correctly. Do you know this parable? Where about the little boy who says to his grandfather, why is it that sometimes people do bad things and good things, etc.? And the grandfather says to him, there are two wolves inside of you. And one wolf is joy and delight and happiness and excitement and kindness and generosity and caring. And there's another wolf that is fear and anger and resentment and bitterness and jealousy and envy and lack. He says they're fighting, they're at war with each other. And the grandson says, well, which one wins? And he says, well, the one that you feed. And that's what we're talking about, where you've been feeding your not self. You've been letting her or him be absolutely bored out their brains. And it is that domination. They're taking over. They're running the show. And it's not their job to run the show. It's their job to be an incredible assistant, like your Siri, like your ChatGPT, to support you in finding the information and helping you manifest and create, because they know all the information in all of your brain, your collectives, your subconscious, your unconscious, your quantum field. They know everything. They're this incredible machine that's part of your brain and your setup that's here to support you. And when it's bored, it's not going to support you. You're going to be feeding it. When you leave it to do whatever it wants and runs around and you let it run the show, you're feeding it. By not doing anything, you're letting it run the show. But by claiming it and taking charge and being able to say, like me saying, okay, I acknowledge that there is a part of me that's wanting to run around and make me want to eat loads of sugar. And I see you. And I did some EFT tapping and I hit the points in my body. And I'm like, I see you. I love you. I appreciate you, but I don't need you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, but thank you. I don't need this anymore. This isn't true for me. I choose a higher frequency. I choose the truth. I choose myself. I choose myself. I choose loving myself. And this isn't what I need. And then I checked in to see if I had that desire anymore. And I didn't. Of course I didn't. Because it wasn't a real desire. The body will tell you when it has a real desire. Yeah. We know what everybody knows what real desire is if you've ever had good sex. If you have felt that absolute attraction for somebody, you know what desire is from your body, real desire. And when you have that soul connection with someone and you meet somebody that you feel like you've known them your entire life and you've only just met them and you want to spend time with them and they feel so bloody good to be with. We all meet people like that or animals like that, etc. And you just want to be with them. That's also soul desire. You know what desire is, yeah? So, in this, I want you to just be aware and to think for yourself. This part that you maybe have been given of understanding about the ego and how you may be berating the part of yourself I would call the not self. The part of yourself that doesn't really feel like you and yet feels familiar, a bit like wearing clothing that is just doesn't fit. Or you go to your wardrobe and you realize that you've been wearing the same 4 items. Or you've gone back to put on clothes that you used to wear 3 years ago. They feel like old. It feels like old. It feels familiar. They feel well worn, but it's not you. You know it's not you, and yet you keep making the choices of going back to that. When we do habits, of course, that we're not conscious of and that actually aren't supporting us, we're in the not self. When we are doing things that help us grow, expand, love us, on edges of expansion, we have to lean in out of our comfort zone. If there are feelings of that there's growth and prosperity and potential and possibility, and you feel confident and you feel like there's room to move, even if you're a little bit nervous, you're in yourself, the real self, the feeling that it fits and it's right. It fits and it's right. And you know to your core, you know in your gut that it's right. That's yourself. That's your divinity. That's your source, your soul, the connection to the universe, the truth of who you are, the truth. Yeah. So there's stuff to think on. And I would love to invite you to think on it and question where maybe the way that you speak to your not self, because if we fight our not self, we're creating more not self. We're in resistance to it. By accepting it, honoring it, claiming it, we get to have power and we get to change it. This is where everything moves. And this is what we will be doing inside of Braver for the rest of the month. We will be shifting and changing and bringing the power back as we move this through money as the big subject. That was decided by the collective of our group, that we're focusing on money. And of course, it's going to affect lots of other parts of your life. That's going to happen. But the area that has felt most stagnant, that they really want to claim the power back, which is really exciting. Now, if you're interested, you will be able to sign up for the waiting list. So just head on over to glitchestogold.com or joewarwick.com, and you can now go to the waiting list for the next run of this. That won't be for a few months. If you are interested in knowing more about the fire horse, of course, and I have ride the fire horse of this energy that you've got to ride throughout this year, that you've got to understand more about yourself, the energy that's going to help you expand and grow with yourself. You can download and grab the 5-part free audio series, Ride the Fire Horse. Or if you want to learn more about embracing your own power, you can also access Undercharge, the instant access masterclass. It's only £22. But if you actually want to make a big shift and you don't want to wait for any of these things, you really want to work with me, then get in touch at the Joe Warwick on Instagram, on Facebook, or through the website. Get in touch. We can discuss working with me one-to-one. I have options for Telegram coaching and for Zoom one-to-one coaching. There's a whole collective of the way you can work with me. It's all there, but you can go grab the freebies here, of course. And as I wrap up today, I invite you to love, like, share, rate this podcast wherever you are. Tell others about it. There's so much gold in here, so much information, and to bring you onto a new timeline, a way of being, a new era, however you want to describe, in love with yourself, your true self, with the power that is available to you to create your reality, to have the success that you desire, to have the results that you desire. It is all available to you once you step into yourself and let her Him fully come into manifestation in your life through your body.